the state of my garden. Whatever can I do to make it look beautiful again?
I reckon you got a beautiful garden. It just needs a little bit of framing.
Thank
I
you.
think in today's episode, we are going to do the mammoth task of building a retaining wall.
What? Sounds like an awesome idea. What do I need to get me started?
So I'm just going to use a spade and just try to even up the land, get rid of some of that grass, make it clearer on how we're going to tackle this area.
So good, I can just see it now. I'm so excited. It's gonna look awesome. Well done, keep it up. Woo.
All right, so now I'm gonna set up my rebar for this project. Now I've picked the thickest rebar I can get. It's called rib bar. It is 1800 long and 16 millimeter thick. And I'm gonna use this as the post. Now I'm gonna be using 2 blocks high for my project. So that's 400. So I'm just gonna chop this in half. I was aiming for 800, but if I just chop it in half and just dig it a little bit deeper, hopefully a bit stronger. So this is the thickest, and I'm gonna use the thickest portion on the edges around the pontoon blocks. And then I'll use thinner ones along the way. So now it's time to put the post in the area. We can see our block. We're going to be going 400 down. So I've got a little bit of marking right there. And this has a little buffer here. And I'm also going to give a little buffer between this pontoon. I'll put a couple of mils gap because I don't want it hitting each other if the ground moves. So that is a good point there. And I want my rod to go in right there, here. And it's pretty much going down really easily. But I needed to go 500 deep. For this post here, because it's right on one of these big rocks, I'm gonna use, check this out, the longest drill bit I've ever used in my life. I'm going to drill a 60 millimeter hole and I'll slot the post in that. I think I'm out of battery. I don't think the drill's powerful enough. I'm going to have to get the big boy. Now, this is 1,500 watts, 3 times as powerful. Just trying to drill into those big boulders so I can place my post. But my portable hammer drill, it got this stuck, so let's see if we can unstuck it. Mission accomplished. We actually drilled right through the boulder to the other end, so this should fit in no problems. Got the hole right there, slot it in all the way, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, perfect. All right, so now it's time to put some concrete. We dug around 400 in and we got the posts 500 deep. So for the concrete, I'm just gonna dry mix it. That means just put the powder down and put some water in and then use a little spade just to stir it. So I'll start with this one. I'm using around half a bag of concrete per post. So it's going to be nice and strong. Get some water in there. Mix in that concrete, make it nice, jubbly, beautiful. Last one. Okay, that's looking good. So I dried laid out the blocks, made a nice channel here, and I set up a little string line. So all it is just a wooden post. I put a screw in there and I aligned it with this side of the wall, and I set up the height to be 20 centimeters below the height of this. And I did the exact same thing with the post over there. So it's got a nice clean line. I'll know when I'm mortaring this up what it will look like. So I know the height I want to go to. I set up the string line to be 20 centimeters below the current height over there. And I do have a bit of services in this channel here, this block. I've got electricity and I've got water, so I'm going to avoid that block. But I'm thinking maybe I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, every 4 blocks. That's when I'll put in some rebar, make it nice and strong. All right, so now that I've got posts set up where I want it, and I got a bit of string lines to help me out on the guidance, it's time to mix up some mortar. So I've just got some basic Bastion mortar mix. Simply add water, and I'll just throw in some water in there first. And I'm just gonna eyeball the sludge that I wanna get. I wanna get it so it comes into a toothpaste consistency. Then I've got a whole bag of water right here. And then I've just got a paint paddle. It's getting there. That's gorgeous. I'm gonna be using just a little bit of padding tape. Just gonna paste some mortar down. Just as a base, we are gonna spread it round, so it's gonna be all right. But let's just paste it around the area, so at least we have a starting point. Alright, so I've got the first block in. It's perfectly level. It's butted up to the side of the existing structure with a bit of foam. I'm happy with it. So now it's time to repeat all the way to the end there. Alright guys, it's been a few hours. I think I'm done for today. It's my progress. Got 2 lines now. It mostly looks straight. One thing I did is that I made sure not to fill in any mortar in the gaps, because I'm going to use the gaps as weep holes. Takes a lot of time, very sway, very sway. Great exercise, I gotta say. It's a bit mental trying to make sure it's all straight, although I kind of realized now that it just has to be visually straight because I'm gonna render over it anyway. Like, it just has to be good enough so it isn't too wonky. But I'm almost there. Very excited to complete this job. I reckon one more day and I should have the whole length done. Second row here, just making it so it's mostly level. I'm going to render over it so I'm not too concerned, but what I wanted to show you guys is this area here. Because there isn't enough space to put a block on this rock, and I'm not going to try to render this rock out, just dumped a ton of mortar, and hopefully that'll be strong enough to just lay the blocks on here. So let's just go do that. So I always pick up, there's 2 sides to a better block. There's a skinny side and a thicker side. Really, it's just trying to find the area that's mostly the straightest, less defects. So on this side here, I've got a defect on this side and on this side, and this one is the rough side. So I'll pick it up from the bigger sides, makes it easier to hold, place it in, and then it's all about making it level. And I try to make it level between a long stretch of blocks. So I know between here and here, this side definitely needs to go down. I can just see that visually here. I'm just going to go around and do it from the other side because I want my finish to be true on the visible side, and this side I'm going to pad up with soil so I'm not too affected by that. So let's just correct this and let's tap this down. Just need to free up some space for the mortar to slide through on the other side. Just tap it down a little bit more. right, so really, I'm just gonna leave that set in a precarious position. And then once that's set, I'm gonna add some more mortar in to finish it up. But it really just needs a bit of time to rest. Alright guys, so I'm coming towards the end of my last wall. And one interesting thing about this, I'm trying it out for the first time, is that there's actually a deficit of soil on this side of the wall, whereas the rest of it seems alright. Look, it's almost there. I'm so excited about it. And by the way, the last wall that I built is the straightest, so I'm getting better at this. Anyway, what I've done to tackle the deficit is just, I found a bunch of bricks lying around the house, and I pretty much just placed them there and dumped mortar all over it. So I'm making like a mini wall to house the rest of my blocks, because I only want to make this a 2-block wall. So I'm just trying this out, see what will happen. It's gonna be fun. I'll tell you how long it lasts. I'm confident though, because this seems pretty strong. Look at that. Can't move it. Can't move it with my hands. So it seems pretty strong. But yeah, I'm trying this out. I'm obviously gonna pad it all out with soil eventually when I get there, or I'll figure something out, a solution. But yeah, I've just got a bunch of mortar all over the bricks, and then I'll use that. It's kind of like my height. Put mortar on, and then I'll start my blocks. So let's do that now. It's exciting. I don't know how tall I need to make this. I'm just putting a bunch of mortar. It's all gonna get mortared up in the end anyway, so just putting a bunch, drenching it with mortar, and then I'll figure out if I'll go a good height, or otherwise I'll replace it. Just yeah, let's give that a shot. That's pretty good. Alright guys, so I'm about done for today. Just gonna let that bit of mortar there dry. It's precariously balanced.
Okay, so I see. So it's half filled.
Yeah, as you can see, it's precariously balanced. It's purely on this side. That's why I got the sledgehammer here. I'm to set it overnight. But I am gonna stretch this area out. As you can see, it's like half length.
It's hilarious.
But it's working. It's working.
It's hilarious.
On my thin strip of mortar that I made a mortar hill, and I got a sledgehammer on one of them just to keep it straight. But hopefully overnight I'll let it rest, and then tomorrow I'll finish up that last corner and we're getting a wall.
This is so awesome. Look how neat and tidy it is. I can't believe we're gonna look like one of those nice houses now with a neat and tidy garden. Oh, you did such a good job. Well done. And you're becoming really fast as well.
Definitely my third wall is definitely the neatest wall. First one was a bit wonky.
Right.
Second one, some gaps and a little bit of wonkiness. And the third one, that one's perfectly straight.
You're right by the line as well. You're so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
But I'm not that worried, because I've got an angle grinder, so I can always sound out the bits that poke out too much, and then I'll use a wodge of render just to make it look nice, perfect straight.
It looks so good.
I can actually count the blocks left. 1, 2, probably 6.
I counted 6
something
earlier.
like 6 or 7.
Well
Right.
done. I'm gonna have to get you to build a house next.
So to finish up, I'm just pointing the blocks, which means filling in the gaps around between the blocks. I'm not going to make sure it looks good on this side, because it's all going to get padded out with soil, but on the other side I'm going to make sure that it's completely covered up, so when I do render on top it looks nice and juicy. Just use a paint scraper and put a bit of mortar on it, just scrape it in. I don't have any of those fancy pointing tools. It seems to be working well. One thing I also did is I got a bunch of gravel and pretty much poured it in between the gaps here, because this is what I'm going to use for drainage. So when the water comes in, the gravel is going to block this area out to block the big sediments, and the water will still seep through these bottom layers. Just taking my time filling up the caps, filling them all up with, I did a mix just to help it out, cheapen the price. So I got a mix of mortar, and I've also got gravel. So I put a bit of mortar and a bit of gravel. That way it's a bit more cost effective, because if I just use pure mortar on its own, mortar's a lot more expensive. But when I add a bit of gravel to pad it out, the mortar still sticks to everything, but the gravel is a lot cheaper. It's half the price of mortar. So I'm filling this up bit by bit. It's taken a while, I've got to say. It's probably the longest part of the show, but it can be done. It's just very tiring in this blazing sun. It's 35 degrees today, but I'll just get to it and mix it up, and hopefully I'll be able to get it done in maybe 3 or 4 hours. Let's go.